Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome into the inaugural episode of the 2026 season of Bull Session here on WBCB. I'm Anthony SanFilippo, filling in for John Brazier here at Chickie's and Pete's in South Philadelphia on a wonderful Monday afternoon. Joined by John's regular co-host, Mickey Morandini. Hey, Mickey, good to see you. And today's special guest from Phillies Nation, Ty Daubert. So it's good to have you here as well, Ty, on the program, which is brought to you by Bucks County Water, BCWSA. We got to get into the Phillies, and we're going to talk about the opening weekend. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Texas Rangers. The next homestand begins tonight against the Washington Nationals, and we'll dive into all that, plus some other baseball stuff. But, Mickey, I got to start with this. Okay, because I got to get this out of the way. I've been thinking about it since John asked me to fill in on this show. So you're a Delaware County guy.
I am.
I'm a Delaware County guy. Okay. Back in the 90s, when I was first breaking into this business, before I got into this sports writing and sports broadcasting racket, I was a young 20-something who's learning the ropes in this industry, producing at another radio station. But they don't make a lot of money, those producers, right? So I needed a second gig. And my second job was waiting tables.
Okay.
And you and your family used to come into it. The restaurant does not exist anymore, but it was a Delco icon back in the day at Campbell's Boathouse.
Okay.
And I used to wait on you, I don't know, maybe 5-6 times you guys used to come in there. And I used to be your server at Campbell's Boathouse.
I apologize, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't look anything the same. I've put on about 200 pounds since. Okay, so I don't look anything like that. I don't look anything like I did back then. But the fact of the matter is, I just thought it was hysterical. I'm like, how funny is it that I used to be Mickey's waiter,
that's
and
awesome.
now we're doing a radio show together?
Yeah, that's awesome. Probably I don't know if I had my third child. Yeah, probably two young
you
boys.
Had two,
I had 2 at the time, Jordan and Griffin. But yeah. That was a pretty good place.
It was a good place.
I can't believe it's not in
not,
existence anymore.
It's not. It's a Wawa now. Big surprise.
That makes sense. Wawa or a bank, right?
Exactly. Anyway, so I just wanted to get that out of the way to get things started here on the program today. Guys, opening day was such a beautiful day, and it was almost like the perfect baseball scenario for the Phillies. You had great weather. You had a sold-out house. Christopher Sanchez on the hill. Pitches a gem of a game, 10 strikeouts, no walks through 6 innings. They wrap out 10 hits. They win the game, and you're like, all right, season's on, let's go. And then the next 2 games, they proceed to end up getting, until the nut crazy ending of the game Saturday, were 1 hit for 8 2/3 innings. They get 4 hits yesterday against the Rangers. And the offense just seems to be cold, struggling. What do you make of that? I mean, is there anything to make of that? It's only the first series of the year. That seems to be what the guys were saying in the clubhouse afterwards. Like, yeah, no worries, we'll be fine. But everybody's going to sit there and say, well, this is their big Achilles heel every year when they still haven't fixed it. Like, how do you look at that?
Yeah, first off, it's 3 games.
Yeah.
It's 3 games. Second off, usually pitching is a little bit ahead of the hitting here early in the year. But this is who we are.
Yeah.
This is who we are. We're a team that can go and score 8 runs every game in a week, and we're a team that can score 1 run for 8 games. It's just who this team is. They're reliant on the home run. When they don't hit the home run, they do have trouble scoring. But I think this team is going to need the Bohms, the Garcias, the Stotts to be consistent. Because I think we know what we're going to get from Schwarber and Turner and hopefully Harper. But we need these guys to be consistent for this offense to really click.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the funny thing is you look at this weekend, right? Worst opening weekend offensively that they've had since 2015. And the 3 guys that did hit were Brandon Marsh, Bryson Stott, and Justin Crawford.
Right.
Everybody else was terrible.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. I know Schwarber hits the home run and Bohm hits the home run opening day. But other than that, I mean, they only had 3 extra base hits over it was a 5 extra base hits over the course of 3 games. It is only 3 games. Rob said that there was he felt that they were a little anxious at the plate. Can you address what that's like? I mean, when you're trying to do too much, I mean, to me, it's like see ball, hit ball. But I mean, I guess there's a lot more nuance to it.
Yeah,
right?
the first game is so important for hitters. You want to get that first hit out of the way. Maybe that first RBI, first extra base hit. That helps you to relax a little bit. So I can understand wanting to be a little anxious. You're in front of the home crowd. That's why I always like to start on the road, because you're not playing in front of your home crowd. You can relax a little bit more, get a couple of your firsts out of the way. Then you can come home and have some fun. But I can understand them being a little bit anxious, wanting to get off to that good start. But, my concern is really with Bryce, because I really wanted him to get off to a good start, because we know with Bryce, the less production he has, the bigger the swing gets, the more he starts, trying to pull the ball. So I'm a little worried that he's going to start getting frustrated up there and things are going to get worse before they get better. But yeah, there can be some anxiousness early in the season.
The one thing with him is he wants to walk, and Ty and I were joking about this in the press box yesterday. He wants to walk, he said 140 to 150 times this year. He got his first 2 walks yesterday. Do you think that even if you're struggling a little bit, if you at least can show the discipline to get on base via the walk, that will prevent him from having some of that overswinging and getting out of himself a little bit?
Well, it depends on how he's drawing his walks. You know what I mean? If he's taking good pitches to draw those walks, then that's a problem.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
He still needs to be an aggressive Bryce Harper. If he's taking the walks because they're trying to pitch around him or he's not swinging at bad pitches, that's great. But he needs to be aggressive at the plate. We don't need walks from Bryce Harper. We need production.
Right.
We need RBIs, home runs, extra base hits, those types of things. So he needs to be aggressive to do those things.
Yeah, and I think one of the things last year, though, is he did get too aggressive, especially early in counts, and he was starting behind. It seemed at a couple points during the season, pitchers knew on the first pitch they could throw him something in the dirt because he was just really trying to take advantage of the first pitch and make something happen, and he was chasing. And I think whether he gets to that astronomical walk count, I don't think that's going to happen. It would be more than his career best, but by a good amount. But if he can start just in better counts, start up 1-0 versus 0-1, I think it changes everything in the way that pitchers have to come to him. And I think that's going to make a big difference as long as he's able to stick to that. And like you said, Mickey, if he doesn't start pressing and if he's in a slump, not feeling like he has to go swing at everything and be too aggressive, but that selective aggressiveness, that, when he's in that mode, that's when he's really at his best.
Yeah, and we the funny part was we hit Nivaldi, right?
Yeah.
Which he's a really good pitcher. You're looking good. Then all of a sudden, game 2, DeGrom's not pitching now. We got a chance to, score some runs, and there was that a reliever that came in?
Well, Jake Latz is kind of like one of those tweeners, he's like a swingman mostly. He was fine. He pitched well against him, but
exactly.
That bullpen in Texas is pretty mediocre. I don't want to criticize professional athletes too much, but it's pretty mediocre by professional baseball standards, right? And yet the Phillies really just let them.
Yeah. That game, too,
was good.
I think the most disappointing game of them all, because you get DeGrom out. Now, hey, let's score some runs. It's going to be a bullpen game. And we really didn't do anything that game. Yeah,
it was a little bit of a struggle. Another guy who's struggling a little bit here to start the season, we talked to after the game yesterday, is Trey Turner. Got 2 hits the opening game, but he had some key spots. He came up with bases loaded on Saturday and struck out on 3 pitches. Chased 2 balls out of the zone on those 3 pitches. And then yesterday, in a complete rarity, he grounds into 2 double plays, one to end the game. Not that it mattered at that point; it was 8-3. But the thing of it is that Trey's a guy who wins a batting title a year ago, puts up good numbers, and yet I seem to think that there are times when you look back at Trey Turner's season and go, what were the big moments in Trey Turner's season? Like, can you remember the big moments? And you have a harder time remembering them, right? It's almost like his production is sneaky quiet, but then when he's not going well, you notice it even more.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember a lot of big moments, but hitting 304 and getting on base and not trying to hit the long ball and stealing bases, that's really what his game needs to be.
Agreed.
He needs to get on base, make things happen, and score runs. Like, one of his goals for me should be like score 120 runs.
Yeah.
Maybe still 50 base and score 120 ones. I just think today's hitters are so enamored with the home run. And I know Trey is.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need to be. And I know Rob had talked to him last year about cutting down on the swing, just getting on base, making things happen. He did a really good job of that. But I don't think Trey had a very good spring training either.
Terrible.
So maybe it's just going to take a little while for him to get going. But he's too good of a hitter and an athlete to be in a prolonged slump, per se.
And he talked about that yesterday,
He did.
Ty.
Yeah, he mentioned the way it seems to go is when he has a terrible spring, he has a better season. And when he has a great spring, like he did in 2023, his first year with the Phillies, good spring, great WBC, he had a really bad start to his first year with the Phillies. So I think Trey is sort of hoping that trend continues. But I think the thing with him is, like you said, it can feel a little underwhelming at times. Like the moments aren't always there, and you look at the numbers, and they are pretty good. The last 2 seasons, he's been pretty productive. But at the same time, I think they need a little more out of him. When you sign a long-term, 12-year, $300 million contract, the way you look at that is when you sign someone for that long, you need the first few years to really be home runs, that's where you're getting the most value. And I think at different times throughout his career with the Nationals and Dodgers, like Trey Turner, this is somebody who might be an MVP candidate, one of the best players in the major leagues. And the Phillies haven't quite gotten that. I know he had a really solid overall season last year that maybe you consider him, maybe on the ballot, but it's not that surefire thing. So I think Phillies could really use one of those Trey Turner years on offense that he put up with the Dodgers or Nationals, where he can be really dynamic and he does have the average, but he's also putting the ball in the gaps or over the wall a little bit more than he did last year. So I think we'll have to see if that spring training trend continues, if he's able to turn around. But the Phillies could really use that because I don't know. He's had solid years, but I think going into it, you would have hoped for a little bit more, especially considering he's missed a little bit of a chunk of time with injuries also through his first few seasons with the Phillies.
Yeah, and a lot of people forget he did finish 5th in the MVP voting last year, right? I mean, I think it's the one thing to kind of keep in mind. It's like you might be a little bit underwhelmed, and I think that you made a good point there, Ty, because it's all, to me, the expectations for Trey Turner are all about the fact that he's a $300 million player, right? Like if Trey Turner was half that, if he signed for $150 million and did what he's doing, he'd be beloved, right? But so it's really kind of like, okay, you're the number 2 highest paid player on the team collectively, total dollars, behind Bryce Harper. You need to be that good of a player, and if you're just shy of that, you're going to leave people wanting more. And I think that's probably what he's facing. I brought up the pitching a little bit, and talking about Christopher Sanchez, and he had such a great opener, and proves that this is not, last year was not just a fluke, or the year before that was not just a fluke. He's certainly one of the top pitchers in the sport right now. I think when you look at the other 2 starts, they probably, left a little bit to be desired. Nola's wasn't as bad. Did give up 2 long balls, but 3 runs over 5 innings. Maybe you want him to go longer, but wasn't terrible. He had 7 strikeouts. That was okay. I think the surprise for everybody was Luzardo yesterday, giving up 6 runs, 6 hits in 6 innings. Couldn't get Andrew McCutchen out. Andrew McCutchen didn't have a job a month ago, and now all of a sudden he's hitting home runs and doubles and driving in all these runs. I don't know. I don't put much stock into one start for a pitcher. I mean, Paul Skeens got rocked in his first start too, right? So I don't put a lot of stock into that. But I do think that there's a correlation here. When the offense is inconsistent, it puts added pressure on these starting pitchers to be as close to flawless as possible. And if they're not, you're going to have a hard time winning a game.
No question. When you see those zeros put up, early in the game with your offense, it does put a lot of pressure on your pitcher to keep the score low. But like you said, I wouldn't put much stock into one start. We know Luzardo's got a tremendous arm, an array of pitches. He pitched very well in spring training. And with Nola, his nemesis is the home run ball. He gave up a couple home runs, but he kept them in the game. 3-0 going into the 6th inning. You're in the ball game. So we know the starting pitching is this team's strength, and I truly believe it will be this team's strength. So we'll see how Washington goes with Walker and Painter. Two very interesting games coming up here with our starters. Hopefully they can keep us in the game and this offense can get rolling a little bit.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about Andrew Painter when we get back. Obviously, he's going to make his major league debut tomorrow night, Tuesday night, against the Nationals. But I also want to talk to Ty a little bit about Zach Wheeler and his rehab, because Ty was up in Lehigh Valley for that rehab assignment. Also got to see Ryan Kirker. You can talk about that one too. And we'll do that here on Bull Session when we return on WBCB.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Bring your party to Chickie and Pete's. We can handle groups of all sizes at our locations across the Delaware Valley. Big parties, small parties, company parties, family parties, get-togethers with friends. Order off the menu or our special catering options. We can do it all, including coming to your home or office or special Play 2 party packages at our South Philly location. Book your party today. Hurry, the space is limited. Visit chickieandpete's.com for details. Chickie and Pete's is official caterer of the Philadelphia Eagles Touchdown Club and a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Need auto service in a hurry? No one offers more service centers than the Peruzzi Automotive Group. More certified trained technicians to get you in and out. Appointments available within 24 hours. All makes and models. PA state inspections and emissions to major work including collision. All located on Route 1 in Fairless Hills. Visit any Peruzzi dealership for fast service. Peruzzi Buick GMC, Peruzzi Nissan, Mitsubishi, or Mazda, and their collision center.
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, prove it.
Penn Community Bank, we're your financial partner for all of life's moments. Our checking accounts are designed with you in mind, providing convenient access and 5-star mobile and online banking services to help you achieve your goals. Right now, you can earn a $350 cash bonus for opening a qualifying new checking account with direct deposits in the first 60 days. Visit PennCommunityBank.com/cash bonus to learn more. Penn Community Bank, here we grow. Offer terms and conditions apply. Limited time offers subject to change. As for full details, member FDIC.
And we are back here on Bull Session, WBCB, live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. Be sure to stop in here, Chickies and Pete's, before every Phillies game. Grab a bite to eat. They got some great food here. I just ordered the Ultimate Tailgate Burger. The Ultimate Tailgate Burger is one of my favorite sandwiches. They do is they put a crab cake on top of the burger.
Ooh.
You wouldn't think you go little land and sea together,
Yeah.
but they do a nice job with that burger here. It's a good one. And I get the crabby sweets. I know you got the crab fries,
Yeah.
Ty. Crabby sweets is the way to go. The sweet potato fries. Delicious. So always do yourself a favor when you come down to Chickies and Pete's and grab a bite before the game. It's a good thing. All right. I want to talk to you, as we said, I want to talk about Andrew Painter and Zach Wheeler and Ryan Kirker. So let's start with Andrew Painter because we'll kind of look ahead now. He gets to make his major league debut tomorrow against the Washington Nationals. Had an okay spring. I mean, it got better, I think, as the spring went along. His last start was by far his best start of the spring. I know everybody's got great expectations for Andrew Painter because we've been hearing about him for 3.5, 4 years now, right? And the day is finally arriving tomorrow. Mickey, from your experience, when you're a rookie pitcher, what should the actual expectation be? But it's not the fan expectation, but the actual expectation of what a rookie pitcher should look like.
Well, what is he? 6'7", 6'6"?
Yeah.
That's a good start right there. 6'6" and built like a brick house.
Yeah.
But he's got outstanding stuff. They've really brought him along, obviously, really slowly, trying to take care of his health with the surgery and everything. But I think just improvement as, with each start. I don't know what we're going to get tomorrow. He's going to be probably nervous as heck, pitching his first big league game in front of the home crowd. Hopefully he can get through the first couple innings, without, too much damage so he can just settle in. But it's probably a good team to face in Washington. I'm not sure. I haven't followed the Nationals, but I'm sure I don't think their offense is one of the best in the league.
Got a
so
couple good players.
Yeah, I know they're young, but so hopefully he can go out there and keep us in the ball game. And just like I said, get better with each start, get more confidence with each start, stay healthy. I'm sure they're going to really monitor his pitches. I would be surprised, especially early in the season, if he even ever goes past 5 innings. But just keep us in the game, give us some innings, and like I said, just keep improving as he gets deeper into the season.
I think the thing with Painter's debut is that because it seemed like he was probably going to make the team as a teenager back a few years ago, and they said the July-ish thing last year, and then that never happened. He never made it up. That a lot of the sentiment here, I think, from fans is sort of like a oh, finally. It's not that anticipation because they've just been hearing about it for so long that I think people are. I don't know if they're excited in the same way that you would be if he was drafted out of college and he's coming up at 23 years old or something like that. But I think it's going to be really exciting, and I think that Painter has the chance to maybe re-excite people about his potential if he comes out and he looks sharp and he shows off what made him one of the top prospects. But I think people are, I don't want to say they're not tired of Andrew Painter, but they've been hearing about it for a long time, and it's not that same buildup as if he cracked the rotation in 2023 or you know how it went. Just it's been a long time.
Well, this is my worry though, Ty, because my worry is because of the fatigue of hearing about Andrew Painter, that if he comes in and is just mediocre or has a bad start, that the immediate sentiment from the fans is going to be, this is what we waited all that time for, right?
Yeah.
And it's wrong. I'm not trying to say that that the fans are right if it would be right doing that. You got to give the kid time. But that's my one fear, and that you don't want to put the pressure on him, just because he had like I said, a mediocre or a bad start.
But I think the other thing is he really, for all the hype that he has gotten, he really hasn't been dominant.
No, right.
At least the last few years after his surgery. He wasn't very good last year. His command was not good. He wasn't overly dominant in spring training. Like you said, he did have a really good last start. So I don't know what fans are thinking, to be honest with you. I don't know if they're super excited or if they expect him to just come out and dominate. The hype is – I don't know, has kind of gone away a little bit, I think, from the draft day. But like I said, he just needs to go out there, have confidence in himself, and pitch deep into the ball, as deep as he can into the ball games with his pitch limits.
And Anthony, like you said, like there might be some harsh reactions if he doesn't look sharp, but I think you also have to separate. I think it's fair to be looking at him with a bit of a critical eye, not for anything of his own fault, of just, does the stuff compare to the way it did before his surgery? And I think that's going to be honestly the most important thing to monitor throughout the season. Is he able to have the zip on his fastball like he did before he got hurt a few years ago? And is he able to carry that kind of stuff through his starts as the season goes on? You want to expect that maybe at the start of the year, but I think it has to be, even though it's tough to balance that, because the Phillies are a team with World Series expectations, aspirations. So it is all about the results with the Phillies, but with Andrew Painter, it can't always be about the results right away. It has to be more about how does he look, how is the stuff playing, and is he able to adapt? And that's sort of a tough thing to do when you're a rookie showing up for a veteran team that has these really high goals. And that's sort of a tough balance that people in the organization and the fans and everybody are going to have to make. It's going to be sort of a different dynamic that they haven't had the last couple of years because they've been so veteran, and now they're infusing two rookies into the team.
Yeah, and I think when you think about it, I mean, obviously, and we're going to get to Wheeler here in a second, but, once Zach comes back, I mean, Painter just kind of slots into the number 5 role. The number 5 spot in a rotation is usually lower expectations anyway. So I think you're right, Ty, that maybe you could kind of, look at the numbers differently than looking at the actual how the stuff is playing, right? I just worry that it's a different day and age where everything is so scrutinized. Like it wasn't like when you played. Like, I mean, people watch the game and had opinions, but we didn't have the data points that we have now, right? Like to kind of dive into what you were doing on a daily basis and determine whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. It was just, did you get a couple hits or did you go 0 for 4? Like, it's a whole different mindset now. And I worry that with too much information, it could snowball a little bit.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's in his favor is he's got a veteran starting pitching staff behind him. So I'm sure Wheeler and Nola and Taijuan Walker and these guys have been in his ear since day one. This is what to expect. Don't worry about the hype. Just go out and be yourself, things like that. So that's one thing I think that will really help him is the Wheelers, the Nolas, the people that have been through what he's going to go through now.
Ty, you were up in Lehigh Saturday. You got to see the first real rehab start. I mean, I was down in Clearwater when he when he faced live hitters for the first time, and then he did another minor league appearance, which I think you were at as well. And that was with no outfielders.
No
right?
outfielders. No outfielders, and he finished his second inning too quickly, so they were sort of like, actually, batters, get back in there. We got to get him up to his pitch count. It was not a real game like atmosphere.
Yeah. So and Rob called that a half a game, is what he called it. So this was the first time he actually pitched in like a real game Saturday. I wanted to kind of get your impressions of what you saw out of Zach up against Toledo, the Detroit Tigers minor league system team.
Sure. So it was more of a real game setting. It was still, of course, minor league baseball, some ridiculous stuff going on. Because Zach Wheeler had his rib removed, put it in his closet, like he said. They had an all-you-can-eat ribs promotion. They were wearing these 250th American anniversary jerseys with a giant eagle on the back that were pretty absurd. But it was a real game with real hitters and umpires and outfielders, and Zach Wheeler, for the most part, looked like himself. And I think that he said after the game that I asked him, why did you want to come up to Lehigh Valley to pitch when a lot of guys might have stayed back and just stayed in Clearwater for a couple weeks until they were a little bit closer and then made maybe one rehab start in AAA or AA. And what he said was he wanted it to be that game-like feel against better hitters and not the lower level minor leaguers. He wanted it to be against AAA guys, maybe some guys who are prospects that are close. Some others are former major leaguers, and to have just that routine of going through an actual game. And probably doesn't hurt that it was pretty chilly on Saturday. If he's back as quickly as it looks like he's going to, he's going to need to pitch in the cold. So that's why he wanted to do it, and he looked like himself for 3 innings through 38 pitches. His targeted goal was about 45. He came a little bit short, but nothing too wrong with that. His fastball in the first 2 innings was about 94. In the third inning, it dipped 1 tick to 92, 93. His curveball was really sharp. It had a lot of movement on it. He said he felt good with his splitter, and he threw his entire pitch mix. So it looked a lot like Zach Wheeler, not midseason form, because that fastball velocity still needs to go up, and I think he thinks it will. He said that he's still down about 10 pounds from his usual playing weight because after he got the surgery, everything like that, he lost a little bit of weight, so he's going to look to add that during the season. But just seems like it's part of the progression, and he looks like the Zach Wheeler you're accustomed to seeing, even if he is a little bit lighter and the fastball is not quite there. So he's going to pitch again next Friday. This upcoming Friday, Rob Thompson said yesterday. And seems like he's only a few starts away from being back with the Phillies rotation.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Now, Mickey, it's interesting that that he wanted to go and face live hitters. I'm sure you had a rehab assignment during your career.
I didn't.
You didn't? No.
I did not.
Wow.
I was only on the DL once, and I did not have to go down. I went right back to the big leagues. So.
Okay. All right. Well, so you got me there. But I guess so. Maybe I'll ask the question this way: Is there a greater benefit for him doing what he did, facing AAA batters in 40-degree weather, versus continuing the rehab down in Clearwater?
I think so. I think facing possible big league hitters in a atmosphere where it might be a little cooler, where you're probably going to be thrown in some cool weather. a little more intense, that type of thing. I think that's good for Zach. I saw him in spring training in the locker room. I'm like, man, he's really skinny.
Yeah.
So he does need to put some weight back on, and I think as the weight gets back on, the velocity will go back up. But yeah, obviously we need Zach Wheeler in this rotation, and just keep him healthy. He looks good. He was throwing strikes, you said.
Yep.
He had all his pitches working, so that's good to see. The initial report was maybe early May, mid-May, and we may get him in a few weeks, so that's a bonus for this team.
Definitely a bonus, and we'll talk about a potential target date for Zach Wheeler to be back pitching for the Phillies. We'll talk about that after the break, and also I want to dive into the ABS a little bit when we get back from the break, because it's been, in my mind, a game changer in Major League Baseball. I'm going to be curious to see what Mickey thinks about it, and we'll talk about that when we get back here on Bull Session on WBCB.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Bring your party to Chickie and Pete's. We can handle groups of all sizes at our locations across the Delaware Valley. Big parties, small parties, company parties, family parties, get-togethers with friends. Order off the menu or our special catering options. We can do it all, including coming to your home or office, or special Play 2 party packages at our South Philly location. Book your party today. Hurry, the space is limited. Visit chickieandpete's.com for details. Chickie and Pete's is official caterer of the Philadelphia Eagles Touchdown Club and a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Need auto service in a hurry? No one offers more service centers than the Peruzzi Automotive Group. More certified trained technicians to get you in and out. Appointments available within 24 hours. All makes and models. PA state inspections and emissions to major work including collision. All located on Route 1 in Fairless Hills. Visit any Peruzzi dealership for fast service. Peruzzi Buick GMC, Peruzzi Nissan, Mitsubishi, or Mazda. And their collision center.
At Penn Community Bank, we're your financial partner for all of life's moments. Our checking accounts are designed with you in mind, providing convenient access and 5-star mobile and online banking services to help you achieve your goals. Right now, you can earn a $350 cash bonus for opening a qualifying new checking account with direct deposits in the first 60 days. Visit PennCommunityBank.com/cash bonus to learn more. Penn Community Bank, here we grow. Offer terms and conditions apply. Limited time offers subject to change. As for full details, member FDIC.
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League Champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
And we're back here on Bull Session, WBCB, and live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia as the Phillies prepare for the Washington Nationals in the start of a 3-game series here, the second series of the season. And we were talking a little bit about Zach Wheeler before the break. And, Ty was talking about how he looked a lot like Zach Wheeler, and Mickey was saying add a few more pounds and that fastball be right back up to 97 again after a couple more starts. And I just want to kind of get into the possibility of where we're talking about that. Mickey hinted, could be mid-April, and I think he's right on with that. Ty, Rob this weekend gave us a few more clues into when Zach could be back. We know he's pitching Friday in Durham against the Durham Bulls with Lehigh Valley. And then he's going to get another start next week. Originally, Rob said that it was going to be in Reading, but then yesterday kind of backtracked on that, said it could be with Lehigh Valley again. Either way, he's got 2 more rehab starts for sure. And then after that they didn't say.
Yeah.
So do you really think that there's a possibility that, say, the end of that Cubs series or the beginning of the Braves series when they have that home stretch in mid-April, that could be when we see Zach Wheeler back in the rotation?
I think there's a decent chance. I think it's notable that they kind of left it open-ended after the next 2 starts. They don't want to commit to it because if there's a setback this early, you wouldn't want to, have to backtrack on that kind of commitment. But I think if all goes well, you have to imagine that if he gets up to 5 innings, around 70 pitches after this 3rd rehab start, he's going to be pushing to pitch in the major leagues. He's probably going to say, what's the point of another one? Just get me to the big leagues. And how could you question that as long as he feels healthy? You'd rather have 5-6 innings of Zach Wheeler more than almost anybody else in baseball. So I think that homestand, the Cubs, the Braves, I think there's a decent chance that Zach Wheeler is going to be pitching at Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah, and not only that, when you really think about it, right? Like, I know we're only talking about April, but every game matters the same.
Yeah.
And this year, it's probably going to be a little bit closer of a race in the division this year. The Mets are improved, although I'm still not fully in on their pitching. The Braves are an enigma because they have good offense, but their pitching is a mess right now. But it still should be a little bit closer. Any additional start you can get out of a player of Zach Wheeler's ilk gives you that much more of a chance of still staying in front of everybody else, right? And so, like, that's why I think it matters.
Well, if you look at last year, we were one game away from being a number 1 seed, correct?
Yeah.
And if we are number 1 seed, we don't have to deal with the Dodgers
in the first round.
Yep. So, yes, every game is important, especially when it comes down to late September. So, no disrespect to Taijuan Walker, but if I have a chance for Zach Wheeler to go out and pitch and give us 75 or 80 pitches, I think
you'll take that.
We'll take that.
You'll take that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Another guy who's been rehabbing is Orion Kerkering. He had a really good inning on Saturday. Ty, you saw that as well. 10 pitches, I think it was, 7 strikes, topped out at 97. I would anticipate that, again, barring anything going completely wrong here in his remaining outings in his rehab appearance, that he'll be back day one of when he's able to come off the disabled list on April 7th.
Yeah, I asked him just that in Lehigh Valley, do you think this will be the 15-day minimum, which they were able to backdate it a little bit before opening day, so it won't even be the first 15 full days of the actual season. But he thinks that, barring any setbacks, he should be able to get off the injured list as soon as possible. It's not quite his decision, so he deferred to the Phillies a little bit, whatever they think is best. But he feels like he's on the right path, and like you said, he zipped right through that inning. 10 pitches. Something to note, he threw 2 splitters. He sort of cruised so quickly that he didn't get to really work in that third pitch, maybe as much as he would have liked. But the development of the splitter, I think, is an important development for him, because he needs that sort of third pitch to play off his 2 fastballs that he uses and the slider. So he's looking to add that in, just a different way to put away hitters, something he's struggled with, especially in bigger moments at times over the past couple seasons. So I think having that third pitch, the splitter, could make him just a lot less predictable, which I think would be important for him. And it seems like the Phillies are going to get him back soon.
Yeah. Now, Mickey, obviously the way last season ended was not memorable for Orion Kerkering. And there were a lot of fans who were very upset with that, but very accountable guy, took it in stride, has really kind of put that behind him. When you look at him coming back in a week or so, how important to this bullpen do you think Orion Kerkering ends up being, even though you have guys like Duran and Alvarado and Brad Keller back there now? Do you still view him as a significantly important piece of the bullpen?
Oh, absolutely. With the stuff that he has, he's probably not going to be much of an 8th or 9th inning guy, I wouldn't think, unless, somebody needs a day off or whatever. But, that 6th and 7th inning, especially with this team, because, Painter probably isn't going to go more than 5 innings. Wheeler early might not go deep into the ball game. So we're going to need that 6th and 7th inning guy to come in and shut down the door. So he was going to be a very important part of that bullpen, especially early in the year.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see. He's supposed to go, Ty, if I'm not mistaken, back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday with Lehigh.
That's the plan as of now. Lehigh at Durham. Maybe he throws a lot of pitches in one of those outings, and they move it around a little bit. He needs a day off, and then he goes Thursday, Friday, back-to-back, something like that, I guess is possible. But the plan, I think one of the boxes he wants to check off is going on back-to-back days sometime before he's activated.
Yeah. So I think that's what lies ahead. But Ryan Kirkering will be back pretty soon as well. One of the things that we saw over the weekend for the first time in Philadelphia was the use of the robot umps. The ABS system is now part of Major League Baseball. We got JT Realmuto is so far 3 for 3 on challenges, and I anticipate that he will be a very good challenger of balls and strikes when he's catching. The hitters haven't been as successful. Justin Crawford had a failed challenge. Kyle Schwarber had a failed challenge in a big spot. The interesting thing there is he challenged what was an actual strike, and then the very next pitch he gets punched out on was a ball. And it's interesting because Ty knows this. We sit right behind the ABS computer in the press box, so we get to see every pitch, whether they're challenged or not, whether it's a strike or not. And that pitch that he got punched out on was below the zone, was a strike, was a ball. He would have ended up, if he challenged that one, if he had the challenge left, would have made a difference in that at bat. Mickey, obviously, this is something that's brand new to the sport and could have a major impact. At least I believe that. I wanted to get your take on it as somebody who played the game. Obviously, you didn't have the ability to challenge calls back in your day. But what is your thought on this being brought into baseball now and how it could impact the game going forward? Be honest about it. Come on,
I have
now.
mixed feelings. I really do.
Okay.
Because, 20 years ago, there was so much human element in the game.
Yeah.
And it pretty much is all gone.
Yeah.
There's no more human element in this game anymore. With replay and now the strike zone and just all kind of different things. I understand. I know the people today are going to love this new system. They're going to love it because you want the call to be right. So I understand that. And believe me, I had who knows how many balls called strikes and strikes called balls, countless number in key situations and during the game. But I like the human element of sports, and it's just gone.
Yeah.
And that bothers me.
Well, so one of the things that I don't think people think about, but you talk about the human element, and I think that the human element, as far as what the umpire calls, is certainly gone. But another thing that nobody really talks about that I think might be missing here, and this is where the one thing that I don't like about it is, as let's say you're up there as a batter, and umpire calls a strike. You ask him, where did you have that? Was that on the outer half, or
right?
Was that up? Was that still in the top of the zone? Now that back and forth, whether it's between a batter and an umpire or a catcher and an umpire asking those questions, trying to determine the strike zone for the pitcher or whatever the case might be. I mean, an umpire can sit there and go, challenge me if you don't like it, right? I mean, like, seriously.
Right.
And I think that human element, that give and take between player and umpire, that's the part that's going to be missing.
For sure.
And I think that's the thing that could hurt the game a little bit.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversations like that. You have a low strike called, and you don't ever turn to the umpire and ask him. You just kind of ask him with your head turned.
Yeah.
Is that as low as you're going to go?
Yeah.
And you get a yes or a no. Or is that as far as outside as you're going to go? Yes or no? And yes, those conversations went on all the time. And I know the catcher was working the umpire a lot. Hey, that's a good pitch, Yeah. And with this new system, you're right. You really don't need to do that anymore. So it could hurt the game a little bit for sure.
Yeah. But I also think it could help. And this is where the Phillies have a little bit of an advantage, is a guy like, Realmuto. And I don't want to forget Marchand. He was pretty good in spring training with it. If you're really good at catching pitches and knowing the strike zone, you can impact the game just by, helping your pitchers out. This is the new framing. Right? Like, you no longer have to worry about framing pitches.
You don't have to frame it at all.
Right?
To be honest with you.
Right? But now you can be so good at this, is just knowing the strike zone, that if you feel an umpire gets it wrong, and look, they're missing by less than a quarter of an inch on some of these calls, and the catchers are tapping and getting it right. Like that could be a huge advantage for the Phillies this year to have a guy like JT back there.
Yeah, I think a veteran catcher is huge. I think rookie catchers or young catchers are going to be a little hesitant to do something like that. And JT obviously knows the strike zone very well. He's a very good framer. That could be a really big advantage for the Phillies.
Yeah. What are your? I know we got to take a break, but real quick, Ty, what are your thoughts on it?
On the ABS, I used to umpire when I was younger. I have mixed feelings. I was an umpire for when I was a teenager, so some of that stuff, like, I miss it, even though I'm pretty young, and I like certain aspects of old school baseball that I didn't actually get to see that much firsthand. But you always want to get the calls right, so I get that part.
Well, there is no more old school baseball. No more aspects of old school baseball.
There's certain parts of the game that I think are missing, like Mickey said, that there's those ins and outs that just aren't the same, and there's always that trade-off.
Yeah, for sure.
I miss taking someone out at second. I miss the collisions at home. I miss the manager arguments where he's kicking dirt on the home plate and throwing bases,
we all do,
throwing
Mickey.
bats. And,
yeah, we all do.
I miss all that stuff, and obviously we will never get that back.
Did you ever have a best argument?
I never won an argument. I know that. But with the strike zone thing, I remember I had the bases loaded once with Eric Gregg, and he called a breaking ball. It was literally a foot and a half outside, rings me up. That would have been one of those times where, and it would have, I would have hit a home run the next pitch. Probably,
there you go. There you go. Absolutely. All right. Well, we got one more break, and then we'll be back to wrap up the show. Looking ahead at the Phillies and Nationals series that is coming up here in the next 3 days, starting tonight. And we'll be right back here on WBC Beef with Bull Session.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Bring your party to Chickie and Pete's. We can handle groups of all sizes at our locations across the Delaware Valley. Big parties, small parties, company parties, family parties, get-togethers with friends. Order off the menu or our special catering options. We can do it all, including coming to your home or office or special Play 2 party packages at our South Philly location. Book your party today. Hurry, the space is limited. Visit chickieandpete's.com for details. Chickie and Pete's is official caterer of the Philadelphia Eagles Touchdown Club and a proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Need auto service in a hurry? No one offers more service centers than the Peruzzi Automotive Group. More certified trained technicians to get you in and out. Appointments available within 24 hours. All makes and models. PA state inspections and emissions to major work including collision. All located on Route 1 in Fairless Hills. Visit any Peruzzi dealership for fast service. Peruzzi Buick GMC, Peruzzi Nissan, Mitsubishi, or Mazda. And their collision center.
At Penn Community Bank, we're your financial partner for all of life's moments. Our checking accounts are designed with you in mind, providing convenient access and 5-star mobile and online banking services to help you achieve your goals. Right now, you can earn a $350 cash bonus for opening a qualifying new checking account with direct deposits in the first 60 days. Visit PennCommunityBank.com/cash bonus to learn more. Penn Community Bank, here we grow. Offer terms and conditions apply. Limited time offers subject to change. As for full details, member FDIC.
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
And we are back here on Bull Session, WBCB, live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. And the Philadelphia Phillies are back at it again tonight, opening a series against the Washington Nationals. Taijuan Walker on the hill tonight, Andrew Painter tomorrow, Chris Sanchez on Wednesday to wrap up the series. Guys, what are you looking for in this series? For the Phillies. Obviously, we all want to look at them and say you need to hit better, right? I mean, you can't do what you did against the Texas Rangers. But Is there one player, one thing specific that you'd like to see, or you're going to be watching for this weekend or this week?
Well, other than Painter pitching, we got to get Garcia going. I mean, we brought this guy in to be a middle order, in the middle of the order, hitting some home runs, driving in runs. We know he's a good defensive player, but we need some offense from him, and that's going to be a big key for this team. Can he protect those left-handed hitters in the lineup, especially when lefties are throwing? We need some right-handed bats. And the other thing I'm kind of worried about is this lawsuit for Bohm. How's this going to affect him on the field? I mean, when you have a lawsuit against your parents, that's got to really weigh on you big time. And I hope he can separate that from being between those white lines and playing the game. That's a concern for me.
Well, I want to get into both of those things. Let's before we get to ties, what he's looking for. Let's talk about Garcia first, and we'll get into Bohm. So Garcia, the one thing I will say, the positive I will say for him is he hit some balls hard against the Rangers, right at some people. Right, he had the line drive up the middle. The second baseman made a nice play. Third baseman made a diving stop on him in the opener. And then his sacrifice fly was like 104 miles per hour.
I think it was 106.
106 off the bat. Just a line drive at the left field. So he did hit a few balls hard. So I say, okay, that's good. That's the good. Here's the bad. In spring training, he struck out 5 times in 49 plate appearances. In the 3 games against Texas Rangers, he struck out 5 times. Right. And he was chasing pitches out of the zone, which was the thing that he was supposedly not going to do. So here's my question for you, Mickey. Adolis Garcia's been around for a while. He's been in the league for a long time. He's a veteran player. And they bring him in and they say, we're going to make these adjustments and we're going to make you a more patient hitter. You're going to just swing at pitches in zone. You're not going to chase as much. And then right off the bat, he starts chasing again. Is it that hard to break that habit? You know what I'm saying? Right? I mean, he did for 3 weeks in spring training or 4 weeks in spring training, but now that the games are on, he reverted back.
Well, let's throw out spring training at bats because there's no pressure.
Right.
You can, hitting in spring training and hitting in Philadelphia in front of 50,000 fans is completely different. So it is tough when you're a free swinger and you swing a lot of bad pitches. It's tough to change your approach. It really is. And I think we could deal with the strikeouts if we got the production with the home runs and RBIs. I know he had a really good year. Was it 3 or 4 years ago? He had the really good year.
When they won the World Series.
And then he's really struggled since then. So, where's the confidence level? Playing in Philadelphia is different than playing in Texas. There's a lot more pressure here. I would think he'd be relaxed because he's playing with, a handful of superstars in his team. He could fit right in the lineup. He shouldn't be putting pressure on himself. But he needs to swing at good pitches just like they all do. We talked about this last year with this team, and Rob made a point of it that we need to be more selective and swing at better pitches. And I think we did a better job of that overall last year. But once again, you had said, the nervousness of opening day and getting antsy, and hopefully that's what the first series was, and he can get into a little bit of a rhythm here and get going.
It was sort of a weird opening series for him. Like you said, he hit some balls really hard and nothing to show for it. And he makes like a really nice play on Saturday in the field. And then on Sunday, he loses a ball in the sun when, like you said, Mickey is a good defensive player. I think you're right to make that point. He's a really key factor for this team, especially if he's going to be hitting 5th, 6th, somewhere in that range. This team last year was dying for right-handed pop in the middle of the order, and it never really materialized on any sort of consistent basis. And maybe it's a stretch to expect him to be better than he was the last 2 seasons, 2 years that were really down. But at the very least, he's usually good to hit 20 homers in a season, and the Phillies are going to need that. But anything more, anything close to that 2023 season, maybe not the playoff run he put on, but just that overall all-star season, they could really use that because the right-handed pop in the middle of the order wasn't there last year.
Yeah, and then your other concern, Alec Bohm. Here's the interesting thing, and I've been thinking about this. 2 years after the 24 season, there were a lot of rumors that he was going to be traded, and then he wasn't. And then after the 25 season, the rumors came back again, but this time it was almost definite because if they had signed Bo Bichette as they thought they weren't doing, and they said we expected to do it. We thought we had a deal done. Alec Bohm wasn't going to be here. Yet here he is. He's back again. And I started to wonder, like, have we underestimated his mental toughness? Like, I know that there's been a lot made out of the fact that he slams his bat or he throws his helmet or whatever. And he had that famous moment where he hates this place, and all that stuff. Like, have we underestimated it? Because if you're able to come back, if you're able to deal with what he's dealing with now, which I hope it gets resolved with his parents and that lawsuit thing, and you come out in the first game after that gets announced, and you hit a big 3-run home run, like, have we underestimated that about him? Or is there, is he just going to continue to be just the guy that he is? That's a tough call.
I don't think we've underestimated it. I think we're going to find out a lot more about it in the next few months with this lawsuit. But I think that's been a big part of his problem is his mental toughness. And, he probably never failed in his life until he got to the big leagues.
Right.
I mean, he was always a good hitter. He always hit for average and drove the ball. And then all of a sudden, I think it was 2 years ago, he went through that extended slump, and that's when we started to see things come down for him a little bit. So I don't think we've underestimated his mental toughness, but I think we're going to find out in the next few months, really, if he has mental toughness or not.
And I think the thing with Bohm and the perception of Bohm is, like, a lot of people are hard on him and maybe tired of seeing him because he's been the Phillies' cleanup hitter on a team that hasn't hit enough and gotten enough right-handed pop over the last few seasons. And some of that isn't even his fault
right.
in that he's not really a cleanup hitter. He's not, and he was a number 3 overall pick at one point with a lot of potential, a super big prospect. But I think it's been apparent that he is what he is for the most part over the last few years. And the Phillies, they weren't able to go get Bo Bichette like they thought they were going to do. And before that, they didn't really make an attempt to go make a huge upgrade for that cleanup spot in the year before. And Alec Bohm, in his unconventional way, is their best option when he's at his best. He's able to hit the balls in the gap, rack up a lot of doubles, but it's not exactly his fault that he is the best option. The Phillies haven't made an upgrade there, and they tried this past offseason, and it didn't work. But a lot of the heat he gets, it's understandable why people are tired of seeing Alec Bohm as the cleanup hitter, but it's not really his doing. It's just where he gets penciled in. And I think if he was a number 6 hitter, that it would be a lot different.
Everybody would be fine with him if he was the number 6 hitter.
Totally. And he hasn't performed the way he did at the start of that All-Star season a couple of years ago. And you could certainly point that out and criticize him for that. But I think a lot of the criticism has to go to the Phillies as well for knowing what he is and not being able to pull off an upgrade or choosing not to upgrade at different points.
We have a couple minutes left. I just want to get your if there's anything you're looking for in these 3 games, Ty.
I think seeing what Bryce Harper does after a poor first series.
Yeah.
I think after the way this offseason rolled out with what Dave Dombrowski said about can he be a lead and Bryce wearing the T-shirt, even though he said it wasn't a motivator. But I think Bryce, everything this season is going to revolve around how does Bryce respond after something of a down season last year. It was still a good season, but it wasn't an elite season as we heard in the fall. And he was 1 for 11 in that first series with 2 walks. He's batting, only after 3 games, 0.91. Phillies, this is the simplest of points. I'm not breaking any news. When Bryce is at his best, the Phillies are a different team. When they went to the World Series in 2022, Bryce, in a lot of ways, carried them there, at least offensively, in addition to all the other factors. So Bryce Harper is the guy to watch on this team, and seeing how he responds. Like Mickey said before, you don't want to see him pressing after a bad first series. So he'll be someone to watch as they go out there for the next 3 games.
And let's see where we're at. We have Washington, Colorado, and San Francisco.
Yeah.
3 very beatable teams.
Yes.
Let's see where we're at after those next 9 games, and then we come home. Maybe I don't know what that adds up to, 12 games. Maybe we're 8-4, maybe we're 7-5, and people were
feeling a little bit better.
Feeling a little bit better. That's exactly right.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, that'll do it for us here today. Thanks to everyone here at Chickies and Pete's in South Philly. We'll be back next week with a bull session. Do you remember where we're at next week, Chris? I forget where we're at. That's all right. No big deal. But we'll be live on both WBCB on our YouTube page, also on the On Pattison YouTube page, part of the Federi Sports Network. Thanks to Chris Ermer for his production here. Thanks to Mickey Morandini, Ty Daubert joining us from Phillies Nation. Enjoy the Philly series this week and out in Colorado. And then we will talk to you again next Monday here on Bull Session. Have a good day, everyone.